All right. Hello, everybody. I'm James.
Chip.
Um, so today, um, I wanted to talk about, um, the differences, kind of like differences between male and female retics, besides the obvious. And there was a young lady who posted a picture of her new little retic on the Nation, and we kind of went back and forth. I don't think it was an argument by no means. Some people may have took it as we were either bashing her possibly or anything like that, but I think it was just trying to give advice and whatnot. But I want to talk about that. I want to talk about, I guess, like selling etiquette. I want to talk about things that us as keepers and breeders and whatnot, things that we talk about all the time, but we really don't do. Um, and it goes into how I'm always talking about how we should police ourselves uh, and everything. We have out of all the reptile groups, we have a very, very small group, and it really is. And I feel as though I think that we should stay small. We shouldn't just let everybody in, meaning that we shouldn't just sell everybody a reticulated python. I'm a firm believer that um, I think everybody should have the right to own a retic, but I don't think everybody should own a retic, if that makes sense. Uh, just it just goes that goes for a lot of things. But I want to talk about. Let's talk about that post. So uh, the young lady, she posted uh, a picture because she was, she's happy and she's proud that she has her first reticulated python, and it's a male. And some of us was like, I don't understand why somebody would sell you a retic, and it's a male. This is your first retic and it's a male, and everybody's okay with it. Um, I want to. This is the thing. I have been around long enough and been doing this long enough that a lot of people will tell people that don't know shit from shit, and people should be doing their research by all means. They should be doing their research. Should do some homework before they buy a retic, a berm, or any reptile. I don't care if it's a bearded dragon. Um, but they don't, and a lot of people will tell first time buyers, well, if you don't want something big, you buy male, they stay smaller, which is a lie. It's false. Uh, Majority of breeders keep their male retics smaller for breeding purposes. Keeping them smaller is different than them staying smaller. Um, so, you know, people need to understand that. Some of this stuff is fact, and then a lot of this is going to be just my opinion. I may end up pissing people off in the community, and if I do, you get over it, I guess. But I just think that these are things that we should talk about. Um, and I'm definitely not trying to paint retics in a bad light or anything like that, because I think they're, me personally, I think they're great animals. I think they're great animals to work with. Been doing it for a long time. But no, they're not for everybody by no means. Get back to people buying male retics as pets. Uh, my experience with a lot of other people's experience when it comes to males, all the years that I've been dealing with retics, I have luckily not been bit or seriously injured or anything like that when it comes to dealing with these animals. Um, but I have definitely been around and have handled a lot of squirrely retics. And the squirrely retics that I've dealt with and messed with were all males because they were sexually mature. We had breedable females around. They're giving off pheromones and whatnot. They can sense the other male retics, and I think most people realize that you don't want to put two males together. They will definitely fight to the death. So that's a perfect storm to maybe have something happen with a male retic. Um, and that's where you have to understand what's going on, know how to read your animal, use the proper tools, and respect your animals. And once again, don't become complacent when you're dealing with these animals. All that being said, yes, it is very, very true that a female can bite you just as easy as a male can. So it could go either way. It's just from my experience, I have dealt with more squirrely male animals than females. The only time I've ever even close gotten, bit by a female is pulling eggs. But that's natural. That's almost common sense. You have some animals that they'll just let you do whatever you want to. But these animals they're predators. These are still wild. These are wild animals. I don't care. I'm not trying to make them sound like they're monsters, because I don't think they are. But even though that we're trying to, especially with everything going on, that we're trying to paint this picture that these animals are, they're not as bad as like what others like are trying to make them out to be, which is very true. But we're not telling the whole story. So if we're going to educate people, if we're going to breed these animals and sell them, we can't hide stuff. Uh, that's not right. Um, if somebody wants to keep these animals, they need to know what they're getting themselves into. So I mean, it's all about the almighty dollar. It's all about getting your money and everything like that. Yeah, if I breed some shit and I say, yeah, I'm gonna want to make some money too. Everybody's gonna want to make some money, but why can't you do it the right way? Um, so my whole point is that no, I don't think that these animals are monsters by no means, and I'm not trying to make them out to be monsters, but we are literally dealing with animals that can hurt you, or maybe even worse. I mean, that's a fact, plain and simple. If you think that just because people like us that have been doing this for years and years and years, this is what we do. You know what I mean? So when we're dealing with something that might be a little spicy, you know, it's it's not that big a deal, because it's second nature. We know what to look for. We're checking all the boxes. We know what to look for. We're looking at the body language. We have certain tools that we're using. We do certain things, and we do it all the time. So it's nothing to us. So sometimes I feel like we forget what the fuck we're actually doing, or not what we're doing, but what we're working with. And if we're going to try to educate people, and if we're going to do things the right way, then we need to say everything correctly. There was a lot of things in that thread that should have been worded differently, by all means. And we should have asked different questions, and we didn't. We just got stuck on the whole fucking, oh, it's a male retic, and when it comes sexually mature, it's going to try to molest you and bite you and shit. So, but anyway, I've talked enough right now. I'm gonna let Chip chime in. I know he's got some good stuff he wants to talk about. So let's keep it going.
Well, going on that thread, I didn't chime in because it's very frustrating when you got people that spew off a bunch of stuff that isn't factual and people aren't going to listen and all that. But James has a little bit different experience than I do. I've had retics for a very, very long time. I've never had one instance with a male, even during breeding. I've had 14, 15-foot males that I've bred. I've never had an aggressive one. I've never had an incident. But my big issue is people want to focus on that anything can happen with these snakes if you don't know them. She's got a baby snake. It's going to grow up. If she does everything correctly and works with it and pays attention to its behavior, it'll be an absolutely fine pet. When people start, going off on it's a male, it's a male, it's a male, in my opinion, keeping your male small is ignorant. You're stunting an animal. If you're that worried about an aggressive snake when it's a certain size, then you shouldn't be owning it, period. I don't care who you are.
Exactly.
The fact of the matter is, there's people on Retic Nation that should look up Stephen Dawson. He has got males, a ton of males ranging from 16 foot all the way up to almost 20 feet long. He handles them. He breeds them because he wants larger genetics. He's over in the UK.
Wait, I don't mean to cut you off, but you telling me males get that big? Holy shit. All right, go ahead.
Male retics get just as big as females. There have been, one of the largest retics recorded in history was a male reticulated python. And it was 21 feet long. So males can get just as big if the genetics are there. Feed it properly, feed it what it needs to. Don't make a fat snake, but it's going to get just as big as your female. The problem is that I have is the responsibility aspect. Just like James says, everyone has a right to own a retic, but not everybody should. It's kind of like, okay, you own a Honda Accord and you have it in a garage, but you go out and you see that shiny Lamborghini and you got the money to buy it, so you go buy it, but you're not thinking about what it takes to keep that Lamborghini, that an oil change is $5,000 on it, and the upkeep on it for monthly maintenance on it is astronomical. And to keep its value up for resale and make sure the car runs properly, can you go buy a Lamborghini? Yeah, but is it a smart idea? Probably not. Not unless you are fully prepared and you know what you're doing. Same thing with retics. Don't go out and have a 20-gallon aquarium and somebody's got a retic and you got this stimulus money or whatever, and you just want it because of whatever, and you say, oh yeah, this, that, and the other, I can do that, but your income can't afford to take care of that, or you don't have enough room for it, or you heard somebody say, just keep it small. And it doesn't even matter if it's dwarf, super dwarf, which I hate those terms, or mainland, whatever you want to call it. These animals take a lot of interaction. You need to know their behaviors, you need to study them, and the education isn't there. Everybody's producing retics now. Everybody's getting into it to breed. It's not the smartest thing right now for everybody to be breeding retics everywhere. It's not. And there's not enough quality homes out there. You can talk until you're blue in the face, but this lady happened to have had experience. She was just sharing that she got a retic, but instead of asking the right questions, we jump on her because she got a male. If you guys are that worried about people having males, then you got a serious problem with people selling retics, and you should stop selling them, because you're going to have a lot of males in your clutch. And what, you're only going to sell your male retics to experienced breeders that have bred retics? What if somebody wants a pet? With everything that's going on, it's a really bad idea that people aren't asking the right questions, and people are selling these animals willy-nilly and everywhere. It's a lot of problems. We're not policing ourselves. We're not giving a crap. You want to talk a good game, but it doesn't happen. Like I said, I've never had an issue with a male retic, and I've had wild caughts, I've had morphs, I've had all this stuff. and I've used them in educational classes and everything else, and they're good animals. Um, it's reading your snake. Do they get more pumped up during breeding? Some do, some don't. I've had lazy males. Other males will throw arches and piss everywhere and whip around, but I've had females kill males during breeding season. Uh, it's it's not the fact that it's a male. You guys aren't asking the right questions. Like, okay, so this lady bought a male retic. Does she have other retics at home? No, because she said flat out, that's my first retic. So in nature, uh, sexually mature animals usually get triggered by something. If you only have one retic in the house, what's it going to get triggered by? It might be sexually mature, but there's no pheromones in the air. It just doesn't automatically go, I want to breed right now. So what does that matter? And if you can't read your animal, then you shouldn't have it. It's not like she went out and bought a 7-foot proven breeder male and it's her first retic. She bought a hatchling. And nobody wants to help her out or say congratulations. There's a lot of animals that can do damage out there, but there's people that shouldn't own retics. But this lady obviously has had experience with reptiles and larger constrictors. So you can't jump on her for that. So you jump on her for getting a male. We need to ask the right questions, not just focus on one thing.
I want to touch on, but this is the whole thing about it is I agree with you. And like when we were talking on the phone, I was trying to explain that how my brain and mouth don't work together. So I have all this shit going in my head, and I can't type fast enough or talk fast enough to keep up what's going on in my head. So by all means, we should have definitely, talked about different things, but we didn't. But I still think, and nobody's going to be able to change my mind, I still think we talked about some stuff that needed to be talked about. Because there is, and always a possibility. Well, I guess you could say it's always a possibility whether you have a male or female that something can happen. And I think we all know this dealing with these animals. But like I said, from my experience, I have definitely dealt with more squirrely retics, male retics than female retics. So my whole thing about it is when it comes to policing us and the things that we're doing, you're talking about breeding and all this other stuff and who we sell to. The thing about it is that the majority of us, we talk a good game on the forums. We type all the right stuff. We say all the right stuff that we're supposed to say, because we want everybody to hear us. They want everybody to read and know and understand that we understand the right things to say, doing it by the book, oh yes, we're educating people before we sell these animals. We're making sure this and that before we sell anybody these animals, but it's a fucking lie. It's a fucking lie. Some of us do. There's a lot of good keepers out there, and keepers, breeders, however you want to say it, that they do screen their buyers and whatnot, which we should. But some of them they don't. Plain and simple. Oh, you got the money? Here you go. Oh yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Yeah, just do this and this and this. You give them just enough information to keep the animal alive. Hey, give me a call. Shoot me a text if you have any questions, okay? Here's my card. A couple months down the road, you start getting some phone calls, text messages, and shit like that. And it's like, why you bother me? You should have did your research. Why didn't you do your research? You should have been doing some studying, this and that. That's a problem. That's a problem that we have in this community. We need to be stricter. I mean, it's just like I said, I don't know a whole lot about the venomous community outside of that. I know that they're pretty strict. you know, and they police their themselves, you know, pretty hard. And I just feel like that's what we should be doing. And we're not. And for us to be a better group of reptile keepers, a stronger group of reptile keepers, and to make it look like, at least from the outside looking in, we know what the fuck we're doing. You know, like I said, we still have people in the community, in the reptile community in general, that look at us as large constrictor keepers like we're fucktarded, like we don't know what we're doing.
Well,
We need to change that perception. You know, we need to change that perception. So, you know, I believe that we need to talk about the things that we only talk amongst ourselves about. You know, with anything good, there's bad. I'm not trying to. I don't think we should try to scare people, but you know what? If we scare somebody off from owning one of these, maybe that's a good thing.
yeah.
You know what I mean? They are not monsters by no means. There are a lot of people that can keep a retic or a group of retics and do great with them. But as many good keepers that we could have, we have horrible keepers, or you know, would be keepers. And you know, that's something that we need to definitely do better. Because you have these animals that are dying. They either kill them or you
You
know
don't see
what.
any 10-year-old, many 10-year-old retics or even older.
Right, you know what I mean. Especially with the amount that are being sold.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know. I just feel like when we sell these animals, when we talk about these animals, that there's stuff that we need to talk about as well, as in like the challenges that come with keeping these animals, the cost, uh,
Well,
the
well,
dangers. There's
well.
dangers.
Here's the thing. This is going to be something that you need to explain right now, and I'm going to preference it for everybody watching. Excuse me, I'm very, very tired, so I'm sorry I'm yawning so much. A lot of people don't know that James here has been keeping retics longer than most people. And very recently, he's had to start over from scratch with 0 animals, and he's building everything back up. And I'm going to have James explain to you exactly what he's had to do to even get back to half of what he used to be doing now that he's starting from the very beginning by himself, solely 100% on his own. No business partners, no breeding partners, really. He's doing some of that, but he's building everything up on his own, with his own collection, with his own time and his own housing. So I'm going to throw it to James, because this is what people need to hear on how much it takes for these animals if you're going to be a serious keeper.
Okay, well, first off, a lot of the animals that I have, luckily I have really good friends in this hobby, because a couple years ago, we had what how you say it? Put me on the spot and I can't talk. Goddamn it!
Catastrophic failure.
Yeah, pretty much what Chip just said, and lost everything. So, and it took years and years and years of a lot of money and everything to build up that collection. And now, I mean, I have mortgages, I have family and stuff like that. I definitely don't have the retic cash to go out and buy the caliber of retics that we lost. So luckily I have a lot of good friends in this hobby that, you know, was like, you know, hey, we want to see you doing what you love and help me out a whole lot. Getting back into it. Yes, I have some cages and stuff like that already, but they're smaller cages and whatnot. Hey, Jeff Kelly, thank you very much. Aubrey, if it wasn't for people like them, I probably wouldn't be in it. But to get back to what Chip is talking about, so I'm having to buy all brand new caging, uh, minus the visions that I already have, and the rack systems that I have. So I've had to buy brand new 6-foot cages. I bought some brand new 4-foot cages and stuff in the last couple months, and that's almost $6,000 worth of cages out of pocket. And my whole point about it is that it's not cheap at all. If you're going to buy, you want to look at the animal. You want to try to keep it alive as long as possible. You want it to stay alive for its full lifespan. So you got to look at caging, for that, and it's not cheap. These animals get big, so you have to buy, 6-foot, 8-foot cages, 10-foot cages, whatever, whatever size cages you want. But that being said, they're not cheap. It's a lot of money invested. The amount of the buy feeders, that's a lot of money. So my whole thing about it is us as keepers, breeders and stuff like that, when we're trying to educate people, when we sell these animals, we should be educating them. We should let them know about everything. These are things that we need to talk about, which we do talk about, how you should be buying correct caging and correct husbandry and stuff like that. But I don't think we put enough emphasis on how much this shit costs. You know what I mean? The blood, sweat, and tears that you put into it, people like myself and Chip that are, and a lot of others that are serious keepers that have such a great passion for these animals, that love reticulated pythons and just, reptiles in general. It's not like keeping a fucking dog or a cat, there's just so much that you have to think about, when it comes to keeping these animals, like depending on where you're staying at, where you live at, what part of the country. Where I live, it's hot. I live in Texas, and even in wintertime, it gets cold. Like it got really cold this winter, which is, it normally doesn't get that goddamn cold. But anyhow, a lot of people down here lost their animals, all over the country, all over Texas, because we weren't ready for this shit. You got to think about all this stuff. All this stuff costs a lot of money, so not everybody needs to have these animals. Most people, they're not ready for it. They think they are, they may have friends that keep these animals and stuff like that. And it's cool to go over their house and see them and stuff like that. We'll keep it that way. Go visit your buddy that has these animals and whatnot. Learn about them. Go play with them over there. This shit can it can bankrupt you really, really fast, is what I'm getting at. And you put all this money into it, and I know spending that kind of money, I want to do the best I possibly can to keep these animals. I want to do the best I can for the animal. And when it comes to selling these animals, whether, whatever the case may be, I want it to go to somebody who thinks the same way I do and feels the same way about these animals. It's not just, hey, this person has a pocket full of money. That's great and all. Hey, I got some money in my pocket now. But I don't want these animals to die, and I don't want somebody getting hurt. I mean, we all know that part of this game is that there's a very good possibility that you're going to get bit at some point in time. I know I'm talking about no damn babies. Getting bit by a baby ain't shit. I'm not talking about no hatchlings. I'm talking about subadults, adult animals. It hasn't happened to me, but it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. I know it's happened to Chip. He knows exactly what it's like firsthand. But that's where we don't want that to happen. That's the reason why we should, like I said, once again, I repeat myself over and over again, police ourselves on how people are taking care of these animals, how they're treating them, who they're selling to. You know what I mean? All of us should have the same mentality, especially with everybody watching us. We need to do better, plain and simple. And when there's nothing wrong with asking, when we have people come on the Nation or any other place and they're proud of their new baby retic, there's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome. It's great. But we should ask questions. What experience do you have? Do you understand how big these animals are going to get? Do you realize that this and this can happen? And if it's their first retic and they start talking about breeding, you need to tell them to shut the fuck up. You nip that in the bud. That's something that we don't do. Somebody buys an animal, they have a little baby retic, and their second post is about breeding. Really? You haven't even bought a correct cage for it yet. It's still in a glass terrarium that you bought at Petco, and you're already talking about breeding and shit. I don't know. It's just stuff like that we need to get better at. We just need to do better. All of us, me, Chip, everybody. We're not perfect. We don't know it all. Let's learn more. Let's do better, become better, be stronger. I don't know. Start rambling about shit.
Well, another pet peeve is there is a very big thing that is pushed that we see too much of is the breeding crap. Not everybody needs to breed these animals. Why can you not have a pet? There's nothing wrong with having a pet and not breeding it. Stop buying into the hype. Another thing that I love hearing this excuse. Well, these animals cost a lot of money, so you breed, then you make some money and it recoups the cost. If you can't afford that animal without breeding and selling breeding it and selling its babies, if you can't afford the upkeep without doing that, you don't need the animal. You've got it for the wrong reasons. And, there's different levels to everything. You don't need to be chasing that world's first morph. You don't need to be doing this, that, and the other to say, look at this, look at that morph. This is how much, this is how many, blah, blah, blah. And like James said, it's horrific when you see someone gets their first retic and a couple of days later, hey, what male or what female should I put to this? I'm going to breed them. Do you even have a plan? So you bought your incubator, you bought your hatchling rack, you bought your feeding, you know the market, you know exactly that you're going to sell all of these babies, you know how this is going to go, you're going to do all this. Nobody's doing that. They are getting hyped up because they see these other people doing it, and they go on Morph Market and they see the prices. It's just like on eBay. When somebody says, my item is worth this much because I saw it on eBay. No, that's what they're asking on eBay. It's not what it necessarily sold for. There's animals on Morph Market that have been sitting on there for a year. There's just not enough people for this many animals. And responsible people. And you see it all the time. Oh, I got a fistful of cash. Who's got what? Let me hear it. It's like you're thinking of it in the wrong way. If you want a reticulated python of any type, why are you making a post like that? I'm definitely not going to sell you an animal, because you would look around on the internet or certain breeders look through and know exactly what you want, and you will be prepared to buy that animal. Because most of those times, those people aren't prepared to buy that animal. They haven't bought their cages yet. They don't have their feeders in yet. They don't have anything ready to go. They're just trying to buy a hot new morph so they can post it and get likes on Facebook or whatever. And that's why all these animals are dying. Oh, my animal's gotten an RI. What do I do? It's blowing bubbles. What do I do? My snake's not shedding right. What do I do? What are you going to... This proper husbandry is key with these animals. And knowing their behavior and reading your animals. But nobody's fucking talking about this. They're talking about, I'm making the next XXX morph, and this is what's going to make me popular. Half of these people don't know exactly where these animals came from. They just hear Indonesia. Indonesia's a big place. Southeast Asia is huge. And you don't know where these animals come from, what the climate is, and all this. My favorite is when I bring that up, I tell people to go and research Indonesia climate and the certain islands and certain areas and what their year-round temperatures are, what their year-round humidity, because that's all logged in data, not for reptiles, but just for people. So they know what the climate is in that area. And when I tell people this, I've had so many people go, these aren't wild animals. These are captive bred. You idiot. It's still where they're from. It's where they thrive. It's where they breed and live. They're the same animals. Just because they're captive bred doesn't change a freaking thing. So if you can't even understand that, why do you need this animal? Because these animals do take proper care to thrive their best and live their longest life. You don't need to be stunting animals. There's a big YouTube person in California that says, look at my mainland, it's only 7 foot long. It's because you can make a mainland only 7 foot long if you feed it this way and breed it. You know what? In the wild, you could have a 16-year-old retic that's 10 feet long in the wild. And it won't breed until it's a certain age. And it might be 16 years old, but the size isn't there for it to breed. The wild is completely different. If you treat these animals like they are in the wild, the genetics will take it where it needs to go if you feed it properly. People think you got to pound the food into it. These 20-foot wild retics aren't getting food every single freaking day of their life to make it to 20 foot. If the genetics aren't there, they aren't there.
Thank you.
And that's the thing about it. It's feed your animals what they're supposed to be eating. Go look at research papers or what people in Indonesia are keeping their retics like. Stop believing the hype on stuff. These animals, yes, we are playing God with genetics and making stuff, but you still take away all the color pattern. It's still a fucking reticulated python. It still should have the diet as a wild reticulated python. That there's a reason that there's 30-year-old, 16-foot, this big around retics in Indonesia. It's because they eat properly, they get the right amount of exercise, they have the proper room to grow and thrive in, they survive all this stuff, but yet you've got keepers that can't keep a 10-foot retic for more than 4 years and it croaks. That should tell you something, that a snake in the wild that has to fight for its life every day can live to 20 years old, but a person that has every opportunity in the world to give that snake the best possible life can't keep it for 5 years. There is something wrong here, people.
Yeah, agree with you 100%. I want to get back to these animals that we keep, that we love so much, that we may take for granted, and we tend to forget because we've been doing this so long. These animals, if they're not kept properly, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, these animals can hurt you. Plain and simple. If you don't know what you're doing, if you're not going to listen to others, if you're not going to learn how to read these animals, if you're not going to learn as much as you possibly can, these animals can hurt you. If people that are going to listen to this be like, James, he's ruining it for everybody, blah blah blah. No, I'm not. This is something that we should be talking about. Because once again, not everybody should own these animals. Plain and simple. You as a keeper or breeder, if it's your animals, it's your business. If you want to sell them to anybody, whoever has a pocket full of money, that's on you. When something bad happens, which we all know something bad can happen to the most knowledgeable person. I get that. But you're not helping the cause if that's the type of shit that you're doing. Plain and simple. And I don't feel sorry. I'm not sorry for saying it or feeling that way. Like I said, this is my opinion on it. You know, I don't feel like everybody should have these animals. And people who talk about how they're puppy dog tame and all this other shit, I can't stand that. I don't care who you are. When you say that shit, I just want to slap the shit out of you. Because they're not dogs. All right? These are reptiles. Some of the largest reptiles in the world. Some of the strongest reptiles in the world. And these animals can hurt you if you don't know what you're doing. If you're in a situation and you don't know how to get out of it. Plain and simple. So, yeah. We saw a young lady post her beautiful little retic, and we tried to give some advice, and we did give some advice, some of it good, but it should have been worded differently by all means. We should have asked different questions. We should have asked more questions and everything, but congratulations to her and everything like that. And I don't know. I don't know. I can go on and on about it. It really it infuriates me to no end that people think that these animals that we deal with, nothing's going to happen or nothing could happen.
Well, to touch on what you were saying, the responsibility of these breeders selling to anybody and everybody, they talk a good game, but it's whoever has the money. And it's the truth, because go on TikTok, go on YouTube, hell, look at some Facebook Lives. There are videos of people that I have no clue who they are. I've never seen them post in large constrictor groups. I've never even seen them anywhere else. But they're posting videos of them doing some of the stupidest, most dangerous shit with large berms and large retics. Where did they get them from?
Tell them
they
the
got
shit
them
that
from
I
somebody.
See you.
Yeah, where did they get these animals from? They sure didn't go down to Petco and get them. So obviously, these guys that are doing stupid shit with these animals and being dangerous and very irresponsible bought these animals from somebody that's a breeder of them.
On the TikTok, there was a video that my wife sent me. I told her to send it to me, and I sent it to Chip. I couldn't believe my goddamn eyes. There was a berm, was a granite berm out in a room.
And it's probably about 12 foot long.
I did not see a cage or anything like that. It was just in the goddamn room. Here comes a toddler, probably 3 years old, with with a large rat by the tail, a live rat. I grant you, the motherfucker was alive. You hear people talking in the background. The baby runs in there and throws the rat on the ground in front of the goddamn berm. What in the actual sweet fuck is going on? That's the type of shit that we're talking about. Like, why is that? What makes you think that's a good idea? Well, it's not a good idea. It's stuff like that. If something was to happen to that baby, it'll make the damn news, and then what? You know?
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. You've got a ton of these stupid videos out there. Where are these people getting these animals? They're not getting them from a pet store. they're getting them from breeders advertising, and these breeders are selling to people that supposedly checked out. I'm sorry, the excuse is, well, you can't screen everybody 100%. That's true to an extent, but I'm pretty good at looking at somebody and calling it. And if you look at their surroundings and you can do an investigation, you can make a pretty damn good call on whether this person's ready to have a snake or not. This is not a ball python. You know, that's what I'm saying. They sell ball pythons at Petco. You don't hear about this ball python incident. There's more ball pythons than there are retics, obviously, or burns. You don't hear about ball python incidences. But you show a big snake on the news, oh boy, there you go.
Yep. Exactly. You know, it's and people, you know, like I said, I think they take it lightly when I'm talking about how we need to police our community. And then you see stuff, stupid shit like that, you know. It's nobody wants to be a snitch. Everybody's afraid that well, they're not going to be liked anymore. They're not going to like my pictures that I put up. They're not going to, well, this person, they spend money with me and now they're not going to spend any money with me anymore. Well, what are you doing as a business owner or whatever? If you have a good, you know, reputation and everything like that, you know, if one person doesn't spend money with you anymore, you're going to be okay. But that being said, that's your responsibility. That should be your responsibility. We've all been fooled. We've all have dealt with people who talk a good talk, walk a good walk and everything. And we've sold them an animal or whatever like that. And they literally are fucktarded. And we shouldn't have done it. But, you know, we all get fooled from, you know, time from time, but that's literally our responsibility. I think that's my opinion. How do you, I'm not saying that once you sell an animal or whatever like that, because, you know, all sales are final, but it's our responsibility to make sure that we are selling these animals to people that understand what they are and what they're getting into and what could happen. You know, if we just talk about how they're great to handle and, oh, they're great educational animals and all this other shit, then we're not educating people properly. And we're not doing us any favors. Plain and simple. If you don't, if you can't see how that's a problem, then you're definitely part of the problem. It is what it is. You know, there's a lot of people who talk a lot of shit. They get on the Facebook or even face to face and talk about, oh yeah, you know, I do this and do that, and we need to do better. We need to do better. We need to do this better and everything like that. They're the first ones that are out back, you know, collecting money from the first person that has it. And that's fine. That's your business. But when something happens, you're part of the reason why the shit happened. So there's a lot of people who act like they're worried about the state that we're in. There's a lot of people that act like they're really concerned, but they're not. They're only concerned about where the next dollar's coming from when it comes to these animals. And I think that's messed up, and I think it's wrong. It's my opinion, so whatever. You don't have to agree with me, and you don't have to like what I'm saying, but I'm going to stick with what I'm saying.
I don't have any respect for anybody that is more concerned about the dollar than the animal. And I can see right through people that say they love their animals and care about their animals, but then, well, fucking the highest bidder comes along and that animal is gone, or that animal is no longer profitable to them and it's gone. Or, you know, I've been sitting on these animals for too long. whoever comes up with cash first gets it. I don't have any respect for those people.
Is it a business? Yeah. Can it be a business? Yes. But where's your integrity? There's a right way and a wrong way to do it.
Quit goating me with this business stuff.
Yeah. Bitch.
Yeah, let's see those 1099s.
Did you here we go. Do you see that question that Mr. Hobson asked?
I don't pay attention to him ever.
Yeah, I know. Nobody likes him. Fuck Scott.
Berms and rocks don't even really go into a breed mode like retics, but you have to watch your colubrids. There's a lot of colubrids that do that. A lot of larger colubrids. Venomous. I mean, there's stuff, but for the pythons, the retics are the most visual breeding. You notice it with the arches and the gaping and the tail wagging and everything else. I mean,
there's a lot of stuff like we see sometimes first time breeders and whatnot. Females will act like a male. Okay. They'll arch, they do things and stuff like that. You see a lot of people asking questions and whatnot. Or they don't understand. I've had people tell me that their females are ready because they had their tails up nail and they were expressing. That's not a sign that they're ready. They're ready to whoop somebody's ass. If you got a male in there, you need to take it out. But there's a lot of stuff, and that's for another video, I guess, to talk about breeding and go into detail about it and stuff like that. But there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to reticulated pythons. Retics are one of the probably easiest species to breed, but there's a lot to it. You know, you have to know what you're looking for and everything like that. You got to know what to be looking for when it comes to the female. You got to know what you're looking for when it comes to the male, you know? So, but enough, like I said, this is not necessarily a video on breeding. That's something that we can definitely talk about and do sometime later.
It's about responsibility, and it's about policing and misinformation that's out there. For years, just going back before we finished up here, for years, there's been a thing that you got to watch out for males. In my experiences, and with other people I know that experiences, never had issues with males. Will they arch? Will they get excited? Absolutely. But like I said, I've had my nicest snake I ever owned was a 14.5-foot A male tiger male. I've had wild caught males straight from Indonesia, no morphs. Absolutely fine. I've had some devil females. It's all about behavior. You can work with the animal, watch their behavior, get to know the animal. If you get a retic, just to be on one of these retic pages and you stick it in a cage and you never work with it, and you're just pulling it out with a hook, sticking it in a tub, cleaning its cage, throwing it back in, taking some pictures for your Instagram, yeah, that snake's never going to trust you. That snake's never going to have interaction with you. It's never going to get to know that you're fine. You create a dangerous animal. Yeah. You're creating a dangerous animal at that point because it's going to consistently be scared because you're shoving it in a tiny cage. You're bringing it out. You're putting it in the tub. You're shoving it in the tiny cage. You're not interacting with it. You're not letting it move around. You're not letting it stretch out. You're not watching its behavior. You're not making it feel comfortable. There is so many aspects on working with a python and learning its behavior. And the best thing to do is to start out with a small snake. Grow with it, handle it, watch it, tongue movements, eye movements, body language, eating habits. You know, the animal will tell you stuff. But if you're not willing to put in the time and effort with these animals, don't get one. Don't get one.
That you have to put the time and effort. It's not when you come home, if you own a dog, when you come home, your dog is wagging his tail, jumping all over the goddamn place and happy to see you. Your snakes aren't going to do that. If your snake's jumping all over you and shit like that, you're probably in trouble. All right. So you have to put in the time. You have to learn the behaviors of these animals. Plain and simple. But at the end of the day, yes, a female can get you just as bad as a male can. My opinion is that you should. I feel my opinion is this: when it comes to males, especially if you have a collection, if you have a group of animals and you have other females and you have other males, you definitely. I feel my opinion is that you need to watch out for your males a little bit more. All right. They know there's other males there. If the females, if they're cycling, they know it. So, but at the end of the day, you need to be paying attention to both male and females, because if you're being complacent, if you're not doing what you're supposed to, either or could light you up. And it could turn out to be a very bad day for you if you're not lucky. So I think that's about all I got. We just got to do a better job, plain and simple. And all that being said, I would like to say that if you're not a member of USARC, maybe think about becoming a member. I understand money is tight for some people. So if you can't become a member right now, that's understandable. But try to become a member. Try to donate if you don't want to be a member of it. Spread the word. They're the only ones we got fighting for us. So please support USARC. Also, everybody who is supporting the Retic Exchange, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Once again, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, share the videos, leave messages. You can hit either Chip or myself up on topics that you want to see us talk about. Leave a message on YouTube, on Facebook, whether it's the Retic Nation or not the Retic Nation, but the Retic Exchange page, or you can send either one of us a direct message on topics or things that you think we could do better, or guests that you would like to see on the show. Anything like that. We definitely want to hear the feedback, good and bad. That being said, what you got, Chip? You got anything else?
No, I think you pretty much hit it on the head. Again, I apologize for being so tired and not enthusiastic this time. Injury, not much sleep. And I also want to apologize to the viewers. Both me and James have had a lot of stuff going on the past few weeks. That's why we haven't gotten any videos out. Family life, stuff going on, just a real busy time. We're going to try and stay on top of it and get more videos out for everybody. Just like you said, shoot us with some ideas. We've already got some stuff lined up. Hopefully we can get that taken care of. But hopefully it's smooth sailing from here on out. Stuff always comes up. As everybody has stuff going on in their life, so do we. But we definitely want to get more videos out to everybody and grow this page and channel.
Most definitely. Once again, thank you everybody for your support, and hope everybody has a great day or rest of their evening, man. Y'all take it easy.
Have a good night.
Holla.